time, I'd just like to explain gavel wraps for those of you who are uninitiated. 2 wraps, only the officers of the lodge will stand up. 3 wraps, everybody should stand up. And one wrap of the gavel will seat everybody. So, I'm going to do a little stand up or something to keep us going until they knock. But keep yourselves occupied. Hopefully it'll only take a minute.
You might be better off on that side because the guys are going to be standing right in front of you. Well, the whole deal with Jimmy will be on the stand.
See who comes in.
The officers elect of Sojourners Lodge number 483 for the year 2002. Worshipful Master, the officers elect for the year 2002 wish to gain admittance.
Admit them. Brethren, I'm about to install the officers of Sojourners Lodge number 483, free and accepted Masons of the state of Michigan. Right, Worshipful Grand Secretary, read the list of officers and the officers elected, and the officers so named will step forward to the altar and take position in order of rank. Worshipful Master nearest the south.
James Ross, Worshipful Master. Ernest Timothy Witkowski, Senior Warden. Brian Gura, Junior Warden. Brian Pruitt, Senior Deacon.
Eric Pappenheim, Jr. Joel Hayes, Senior Steward. Jeff McGregor, Junior Steward. Tom Ferrera, Junior Steward. Rick Kreider, Junior Steward. Keith Chambers, Marshal.
Brethren of Sojourners Lodge,
Most worshipful sir, I present to you the officers elect of Sojourners Lodge for the year 2002 for Sojourners Lodge number 43, Green Accepted Masons of Michigan.
Brethren of Sojourners Lodge, you here behold these brothers, each of whom, having been duly chosen, now declares himself ready for installation. If you know of a valid reason why any one of them should not be installed, state your objection now, or forever after hold your peace. There being no objection, I shall now proceed with the installation. Brethren, the first lesson we are taught of masonry is that no man should ever enter upon any great and important undertaking without first invoking the blessings of deity. Let us, therefore, before proceeding with this important ceremony, invoke the blessings of the Supreme Architect of the universe.
Most worshipful sir, I present to you my worthy brother, James Ross, to receive at your hands the rites of installation, the better to qualify him for the duties of his important office. I know him to be of great skill, true and trusty, and as he is a lover of the faith wherever so dispersed upon the face of the earth, I doubt not that he will discharge the duties of his office with fidelity, with honor to himself and profit to the craft.
Brother James Ross, from time immemorial, it has been an established custom among free and accepted Masons in each lodge, once a year at a stated period, to elect from among those who have served in the chartered lodge as warden and expert craftsman to preside over them as worshipful master. He must have been initiated, passed, and raised in the three established degrees. He must be a lover of our noble science and have held the office of warden. He ought to be of good rapport, true, trusty, and ought to be exemplary in his conduct, courteous in his manner, easy in his address, steady and pure in principle, zealous for the welfare of his lodge, able and willing to undertake the management of the work, and well skilled in the ancient charges, regulations, and landmarks. Will you, my brother, undertake the duties of worshipful master of this lodge under these circumstances? I will. Then I shall direct your attention to the ancient charges and regulations, which point out the duty of the master of each lodge, and to each of which your unqualified assent is required. You agree to be a good man and true and strictly to obey the moral law. You agree to be a peaceful citizen and cheerfully to conform to the laws of the country in which you reside. You promise not to be concerned in plots and conspiracies against the government, but patiently to submit to the law of the constituted authorities. You agree to pay proper respect to the civil magistrate, to work diligently, live creditably, and act honorably by all You agree to hold in veneration the original rulers and patrons of the Order of Masonry and their regular successors, supreme and subordinate according to their stations, and to submit to the awards and resolutions of your brethren in lodge convened, in every case consistent with the Constitution of the Order.
I do.
You agree to avoid private picks and quarrels and guard against intemperance and excesses.
I do.
You agree to be cautious in your behavior, courteous to your brethren, and faithful to your lodge.
I do.
You promise to respect genuine brethren, and to discountenance impostors and all dissenters from the original plan of Masonry.
I do.
You agree to promote the general good of society, to cultivate the social virtues, and propagate the knowledge of the mystic art.
I do.
You promise to pay homage to the Grand Master for the time being, and to his officers when duly installed, and strictly to conform to every edict of the Grand Lodge or General Assembly of Masons that is not subversive of the principles and groundwork of Masonry.
I do.
You admit that it is not in the power of any man or body of men to make innovations in the body of Masonry. You promise a regular attendance in the committees and communications of the Grand Lodge on receiving proper notice and to perform all of the duties of Masonry on convenient occasions.
I do.
You admit that no new lodge can be formed without the permission of the Grand Lodge, and that no countenance be given any irregular lodge or to any person clandestinely initiated therein, being contrary to the ancient charges of the fraternity.
I do.
You admit that no person can be regularly made a Mason in, nor admitted to, any regular lodge without previous notice and due inquiry into his character.
I do.
You agree that no visitor shall be received into your lodge without due examination and producing proper vouchers of their having been initiated into a regular lodge.
I do.
These, my brother, are the regulations of freed and accepted Masons. Do you submit to these charges and promise to support these regulations as masters have done in all ages before you?
I do.
Having, by your consent to our established regulations, signified your intentions well and worthily to administer the important duties of your high office, you will advance to the altar and kneel on both knees. Say aye.
I,
Pronounce your name in full.
James K. Ross,
Repeat after me. In the presence of Almighty God,
in the presence of Almighty God,
and these witnesses,
and these witnesses,
do hereby solemnly promise
do hereby solemnly promise
to accept the office of Worshipful Master
to accept the office of Worshipful Master
of Sojourners Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons,
of Sojourners Lodge Free and Accepted Masons,
and the duties of that high office,
and the duties of that high office,
faithfully,
faithfully,
zealously,
zealously,
and impartially administer
and impartially administer
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
for the ensuing 12 months,
for the ensuing 12 months,
and until a successor
and until a successor
shall have been
shall have been
duly elected
duly elected
and installed in my stead.
and installed in my stead.
I further promise
I further promise
that I will not,
that I will not,
during my term of office,
during my term of office,
nor at any time
nor at any time,
that this lodge shall be under my direction,
that this lodge shall be under my direction,
permit or suffer
permit or suffer
any deviation
any deviation
from the usages and customs of the fraternity.
from the established usages and customs of the fraternity.
I further promise
I further promise
that I will not perform,
that I will not perform,
nor cause,
nor cause,
nor suffer to be performed
nor suffer to be performed
In this lodge.
in this lodge
in this lodge
any rite or ceremony
any rite or ceremony
contrary to
contrary to
or subversive of
or subversive of
our ancient institution.
our ancient institution,
And that I will
and that I will
Support.
support,
support,
uphold, and maintain
uphold, and maintain
pure and unsullied
pure and unsullied
the genuine tenets
the genuine tenets
and principles
and principles
of the craft.
of the craft.
Further, that I will observe,
Further, that I will observe
and to the utmost of my power and ability,
to the utmost of my power and ability,
strictly
enforce
obedience to those charges and regulations
obedience to those charges and regulations
to which I have already given my assent,
to which I have already given my assent,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all things, conscientiously discharge my duties
as
as a ruler of the craft
a ruler of the craft
and as worshipful master
and as worshipful master
of this lodge.
of this lodge.
So help me God,
So help me God,
and keep me steadfast in this my solemn obligation.
and keep me steadfast in this my solemn obligation.
You will now rise and be invested with the insignia of your office and the furniture and implements of the lodge. The very implements of our profession are all emblematical of the virtues which should characterize your daily life. And to them, your attention cannot be too frequently directed. The Holy Bible, that great light in masonry, will guide you to all truth. It will direct your paths to the temple of happiness and point out to you the whole duty of man. The square is the distinguishing jewel of your office. It is an instrument made use of by operating masons to square their work. But we, as freed and accepted masons, making use of the tools of the operative craft as symbols for our moral instruction, are taught to make use of it for the more noble and glorious purpose of squaring our actions by the square virtue. The compasses enables the operative workman with accuracy and precision to determine the limits and proportions of the several parts of his work. As freed and accepted masons, they teach us to regulate our desires in every station, so that rising to eminence by merit, we may live respected and die regretted. The Book of Constitutions. You are to search at all times, cause it to be read in your lodge, that none may pretend ignorance of the excellent precepts it enjoins. You now receive in your charge the charter or warrant from the Grand Lodge of this jurisdiction, which alone gives authority to this lodge to meet and work, and without the presence of which no meeting of this lodge would be lawful. This you are carefully to preserve. In no case should it ever be out of your immediate control, until at the expiration of your term you shall have duly transmitted it to your successor in office. I need not remind you, my brother, that charters have passed through the hands of many talented, highly esteemed and distinguished men and brethren. And in committing this charter to your care, we feel sure that its value will be properly appreciated. I also confide to you your care the bylaws of your lodge, which regulate the details of its own peculiar and private affairs. These bylaws you are always to see carefully and punctually executed. You now will be conducted to the east.
What a handsome couple. What a handsome couple.
Worshipful Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your worshipful Master. Together, brothers, attend this sign. Take wherever you're ready. Worshipful Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your worshipful Master. Together, brothers, attend the signs of grand honors, taking your time from the Grand Marshal.
The remaining officers will rise and place their hand over their heart, and together repeat the oath of fidelity. The high purposes of universal masonry.
The high purposes of universal masonry.
To brotherly love, relief, and truth.
To brotherly love, relief, and truth.
To the upbuilding of this lodge.
To the upbuilding of this lodge.
The promotion of harmony.
The promotion of harmony
Among its members.
among its members.
And the realization of its highest ideals.
The realization of its highest ideals.
Of character and of life.
Of character and of life.
To the stretching forth of our hands.
To the stretching forth of our hands.
To aid and support a fallen brother.
To aid and support a fallen brother.
And to the vindication
To the vindication
of his character.
of his character.
Behind his back.
Behind his back.
As well as to his face.
As well as to his face.
We here and now
Here and now.
pledge anew our most earnest
Pledge anew our most earnest
and unceasing efforts.
and unceasing efforts.
Amen.
Amen. Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the several officers elected in order for installation.
Most worshipful sir, I present Brother Ernest Tim Witzkowski.
Sue, whose heart is expanded by benevolence, and whose hand is guided by justice. In short, by a diligent observance of the bylaws of your lodge, and above all the Holy Scriptures, which are given as a rule and guide to your faith, you will be enabled to acquit yourself with honor and satisfaction, and lay up a crown of rejoicing which shall continue until time shall be no more. For the senior and junior wardens, you are too well acquainted with the principles of masonry to warrant any distrust that you will be found wanting in the discharge of your respective duties. Suffice it to mention that what you have found praiseworthy in others, you should certainly imitate. And what in them may have appeared to be defective, you should in yourselves amend. You should be examples of good order and regularity. For it is only by due regard to the laws in your own conduct that you may expect obedience to them from others. You are assiduously to assist the Master in the discharge of his trust, diffusing light and imparting knowledge to all whom he shall place under your care. In the absence of the master, you are to succeed to higher duties. Your requirements must therefore be such that the craft may never suffer for the want of proper instruction. From the spirit you have heretofore evinced, I entertain no doubt that your future conduct will be such as to merit the applause of your brethren and the testimony of a good conscience. Brethren of Sojourners Lodge, such is the nature of our Constitution that as some must of necessity rule and teach, so must others of course learn to submit and obey. Humility in both is an essential duty. The officers who are chosen to govern this lodge are sufficiently conversant with the rules of propriety and the laws of the institution to avoid exceeding the powers with which they are entrusted, and you are of too generous disposition to envy their preferment. I therefore trust that you will have but one aim, to please each other, and to unite in the grand design of being happy and communicating happiness. Finally, my brethren, as this institution has been formed and perfected in so much unity and concord, in which we greatly rejoice, so may it long continue. May you enjoy every satisfaction and delight which disinterested friendship may afford. May kindness and brotherly affection distinguish your conduct as men and as masons. Within these peaceful walls, may your children and your children's children celebrate with joy and gratitude the annual recurrence of this auspicious solemnity. And may the tenets of our noble order be transmitted through your lodge, pure and unimpaired, from generation to generation. Worshipful Grand Marshal, make the proclamation.
In the name of and under the authority of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge, free and accepted Masons of the State of Michigan, I declare the officers of Sojourners Lodge number 483 for the year 2002 installed, with the exception of the Secretary and the Tither. Together, brothers, join me in grand honors. Sir, this is yours. Well,
I forgot that. Yeah. I forgot the front. I forgot the back. Everything between. As I said it, I went, "Oh, I'm forgetting something." But I keep talking.
Excuse me, worshipful, I think we should be properly polled and have your holy well.
First off, I'd like to thank all my officers and all the people for coming today to make this a really nice event for me. I hope it's good for you. It's quite an honor. I'm looking forward to being your worshipful master for next year. I have a lot of good events. I hope to see a lot of the same people there. We should have a good time and kind of make up for some of the stuff that we had problems this year, and hopefully make it a great year. Also, at this time, it's nice, I think, if we can introduce the people that are here with us. If you would, when I call your name to stand for a second, I'd like to, first off, my wife, Chris, my two sons, Sean and Eric, my adopted son, Pedro, and I have also a good friend of mine who, matter of fact, just put his petition in in becoming a member of Sojourners Lodge, Paul Sablehouse, and his wife on the other side, Debbie. And he brought two of his sons, Adam and Ben, and Ben's girlfriend, Kim, which is right there next to him. And also I'd like my sister, Terry, my sister, Kristen, my niece, Chelsea, good friend, Sue, in the old neighborhood, my brother, Ron, and Paula, and his son, Jeremy. And that,
Pretty much goes a lot.
that's it for my immediate thing. And, also, a good friend of mine, Rich, is over there with his girlfriend. You can stand up. I forget your name. At this time, though, I want to really special thanks to the one that got me started in this, the one that introduced me to masonry. He's been a real good friend, and he's a real inspiration for me as far as getting through this, and he's been a big help to me, and I really appreciate his help. Worship Brother Tom Kelly. At this time, then, I guess that's about all I have to say. Again, I'm very honored. I would like, as we go, I'm going to give it to Tim, and then if you have somebody with you, introduce them, and then, keep going on down the line, if you would, for me.